The 7 signs your liver is dying and very sick. There's something very wild about the liver. You can literally go for years, decades, without any symptoms at all, and actually have a pretty serious liver problem. So unless you know some of the subtle signs that are related to the liver, you could be in trouble with your liver. And unfortunately, when you go to the doctor, they kind of wait until you have some of these bigger symptoms before they do anything or even make you aware of it. But today I'm going to reveal the 7 subtle signs that your liver is dysfunctional and not doing well. The real cause of liver problems is not eating too much fat. It's not drinking too much alcohol, and it's definitely not toxins, okay? And I used to believe that. I used to be the king of detoxing. I did every single detox underneath the sun. It never did anything for my liver. It actually made me sicker. I would end up in bed for 2 weeks with some infection. The liver is the hardest working organ of the entire body. It works 24/7. It's the only major internal organ that can completely, 100% regenerate, even if 70% of that liver is destroyed or removed. All right, let's get into these signs right now. Number 1, waking up between 2 and 3 a.m. I was teaching people for years that this was an adrenal problem. And I thought this was related to cortisol. And every time I would recommend to treat cortisol or the adrenals, rarely would people really see results, including myself. I thought I had an adrenal problem. I kept treating it. And it took many, many years to really even see any change. And that is because the real problem is not the adrenal. It's the liver. Remember I told you that the liver releases the stored glucose all night long to feed the brain so everything is happy and you can sleep? Well, guess what? If the liver is dysfunctional, you are going to have excessive blood sugar swings, okay? And since the liver makes a lot of sugar, it's going to go up. Eventually, it's going to come down, okay? When that blood sugar comes down too steeply, your brain is going to freak out because your brain doesn't store fuel. It depends almost 100% on the liver for its fuel. And the brain is going to go emergency. So it has a button it can press, and that is called adrenaline, okay? Adrenaline is a quick mobilizer of glucose from the liver. And so it's going to mobilize the glucose so the brain can have energy. But in the meantime, adrenaline is a stress hormone. It's going to wake you right out of bed between 2 and 3 a.m. You wake up fully awake, way more awake than you are during the day. And like, what's going on? And you're going to think, oh yeah, I need to support my adrenals. No, you don't. You need to fix the liver. Your adrenals are involved because they're producing adrenaline, but they're not dysfunctional, okay? They're just doing what they're supposed to be doing. The real problem is in the liver. And this is why it's so important to correct the real problem. Sign number 2 is right shoulder pain. Right up through here, all up to my neck. Oh my gosh, I didn't know what this was. This is a classic liver problem. Because what happens is when the liver becomes damaged, the bile can't be produced, and the bile then gets really sluggish through these little bile ducts underneath the right rib cage, causing swelling of the liver. There's a nerve that goes from the diaphragm all the way up here. It's called the phrenic, and that kind of swells up, and then it causes shoulder pain. Now, the pancreas on the left side also can overcompensate, and you also have a phrenic nerve on the left, and you could also have it on the left side too, but it's mainly on the right side, all because of this one food that I'm going to talk about in just a bit. All right, number 3, bruise easily. Why is that? Because your liver makes clotting factors. And if it can't make clotting factors, you're going to bleed excessively. And you're going to notice that you like just bruise yourself and you're like, what is going on? Well, that's usually a liver problem. The next one, sign number 4, is itching. And I had this too. I had itching on the bottom of my feet. I had itching more at night. What happens with itching is you get this excess amount of bile. And if there's some obstruction of bile, it backs up into the liver, back into the blood, and then it gets into the skin, causing itchiness. I mean, it was driving me insane. I thought I had parasites, right? And I was doing all these cleanses. I wish I would have known back then what I know now. It would have saved me nights of just terrible sleep because the darn itching was just driving me crazy, insane. All right, next sign, number 5, is low tolerance to alcohol. This is another problem that I have. I cannot tolerate more than a 6-pack. No, I'm just being sarcastic. I can't tolerate any alcohol. There was a time I could tolerate alcohol, but I can't. If I just do a little bit of alcohol, I feel disgusted. I feel sick. I feel inflamed. People with liver problems cannot break that down efficiently, so they get more toxicity through the body. And so if a person suddenly can't tolerate alcohol, suspect the liver is in serious shape. Number 6 is the belly starts protruding as the legs get skinnier and skinnier. This usually is an advanced form of liver damage called ascites, where there's fluid that builds up in the abdomen. It's not actually fat. You can actually tap one side of the abdomen and it will ripple on the other side. Sometimes people have to go in to get it drained, and then it comes right back within a week. They have to keep draining it out. But the legs are skinny too because the person is losing muscle. And you also don't have enough amino acids to build muscle in your legs. So a typical example would be the guy on the beach with the Speedo with the huge belly, stick legs. You've seen that person. And they usually are sitting there with a margarita, right? A lot of alcohol. And that's a classic problem with advanced liver issues. Last one, number 7, is your brain gets very irritated because you're not able to break down protein effectively, and you're getting a backup of ammonia. The ammonia cannot be cleared. You can kind of smell it in a person's breath. And even sometimes when you go into a nursing home, when I would work in nursing homes taking x-rays, I would walk through and I'd be like, I just smell ammonia. That is a liver situation. It has a certain distinct smell. But the problem is that goes to the brain and it really affects the cognitive function. The person's personality can change. They get highly irritable, angry easily. They have a short fuse, brain fog. They can't focus. But other than that, they're perfectly fine. And I'm being sarcastic. Okay, now I want to share something with you that's just mind-blowing. Okay. A person has the potential to go from a very severe damaged liver to a normal liver within weeks by just avoiding one food. Okay, you ready for this? It's sugar, but it's a hidden sugar. Okay, it is called industrial starch. Now, what is industrial starch? It's all the hidden sugar in all the junk foods. Okay, they make it usually from corn starch. So what really exploded in the 70s was the conversion of corn into flour and all these other things. I mean, they can make gasoline, ethanol from corn, right? Well, they can make glucose from corn, synthetic sugar from corn, synthetic starch from corn, and the scaling of fast food to give you these cheap thickeners and fillers, because that's really what it is. It's a filler, okay? And the average person consumes literally 200 pounds of this stuff per year. I mean, just check this out. Maltodextrin on the glycemic index is way above sugar. Okay, sugar is like 75. Then you have glucose, which is 100. But maltodextrin goes between 140 to 180. And it's not even classified as a sugar. And this is why people who've never even had one drop of alcohol on their lips can develop a fatty liver or even advanced cirrhosis. It's coming from something else. All right, so now let's show you how to fix it. Number 1, stop snacking, especially on carbohydrate snacks. If you go in the grocery store, there's entire aisles of these snacks. We have sugar, starch, and also just eating too many frequent foods will increase insulin. So every time you eat, you spike insulin. Number 2, we need to stop eating sugar, starch, and stop consuming seed oils too. Seed oils also can cause an insulin problem as well because it affects the receptors in the liver, and that can cause insulin resistance, which then causes your body to make more insulin. And so as we do this, we start lowering insulin. What do we replace it with? High quality protein, animal protein, meat, fish, eggs, cheese. Vegetables have phytonutrients. They have potassium, folate, vitamin C. A lot of people do better with fermented vegetables and cruciferous vegetables. A really good salad that I consume is arugula as my lettuce green. Sometimes I'll do romaine and sometimes a spring mix, but arugula takes it to the next level because that'll increase nitric oxide, good for the heart, but it's also a little bitter and it's good for your liver. Radish is really good for your liver. Dandelion greens, Swiss chard, kale, good for the liver. Now, the other thing that's interesting, number 4, is you ever notice when you don't sleep, you feel hungry or you want to snack more because you're increasing cortisol? They've actually correlated a lack of sleep with more damage to the liver. So it's really important as you start to do this to take advantage of more sleep. The reason I put number 5, organic, is because if you have conventional foods, there's a lot of pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides. So it would be good if you can go organic as much as possible. I've already mentioned cruciferous vegetables, and now I just want to mention this thing called tadka. What is tadka? It's bear bile. The bile salts from a bear. Well, there's a time years ago where they were killing a lot of bears to get the bile because it was such an amazing remedy, but then they found a way to do it synthetically, which seems to have very similar benefits. And I've seen mind-blowing results when someone takes tadka with a liver problem. It makes the liver feel a lot better. It reduces inflammation. It'll help this right shoulder pain. All right. Now you have a plan. You know what to do. But before you click away, I want you to do this right now. I put my exact personal daily routine into a 1-page download. The exact routine that makes me feel like I'm 18 years old, despite being 60 years old, into one downloadable, printable piece of paper as a checklist that you can print out and put on your refrigerator that will give you a summary of all these successful lifestyle actions that I personally do. And after you do that, I have an amazing video, not just on the liver, but on the entire digestive system that I highly recommend you watch right now. I put that up right here. Check it out.